Good morning again to the St. Andrew Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Dr. Seth C. Harris. Again, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your support. We thank you for your patience. Let me also say that we have set up Givelify. So if you want to give your tithes and your offerings through Givelify, that is up and running. And we thank God that He's allowed us to do that. Again, if you want to mail it, the address is 2200 North 53rd Street, Kansas City, Kansas, 66104. Our lesson today, our sermon for this morning, comes from Genesis chapter 22. We want to read verses 1 through 6. And it says, "And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham, and said unto Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and cleaved the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place for which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you." Amen. Today we want to talk to you about faith that leads to action. Faith that leads to action. Faith in God is total trust in God for everything. We got to trust God for everything that happens in our life. For only God knows what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. Do I have a witness? James 2:29 tells us, "For as the body apart from the spirit is dead, so also faith apart from works is dead." So if you have faith in God, you have to show your faith through actions, which means you got to work on God's behalf. And sometimes God tells us to do things that just don't make sense to us. But everything God does, He knows what He's doing, and it makes perfect sense to Him. James talks about demonstrating his faith by his works. In other words, if you trust in God, show the world that you trust in Him by your actions, by what you do, by what you say, by where you go. Then God will bless you in a marvelous way. Notice Hebrews 11:6 says, "And without faith it is impossible to please Him. For whoever will draw near to God must believe that He exists, and that He rewards those who seek Him." When you trust God, when you have faith in God, and your actions prove it, the text says that God has rewards that He will give unto you. Do I have a witness here? As long as we depend on our own understanding and reasoning, our faith will waver. God's ways are incomparable. Isaiah 55:8-9 says, "My thoughts are completely different from yours, says the Lord, and my ways are far beyond your ways." So we can't even compare thoughts or ways with God. When God says move, then we have to move. We have to put it in action. We have to go by faith and trust in Him. Do I have a witness? Notice what the text says in Genesis 22:1. "And it came to pass." The Hebrew word translated to speak, and it means a verb translated of a particular form of action. God is getting ready to move. So now this word faith is a word called a verb, which is a word of action. God is getting ready to move, and he's going to use Abraham for his plan. Notice what he says in the next part, that God did tempt him. Now this is God testing or trying the faith of Abraham. For James 1:13 states that God cannot be tempted, and neither does he tempt any man. Do I have a witness? He said, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. That's James 1:13. And so he goes on to say, and Abraham said unto him, Abraham, this is the call to service for a particular person. God is calling all of us for his service. But I wonder if with the noise of the world, can we really hear what God is trying to say? When you look at this text, God is telling Abraham to do something unthinkable. Take your only son, the one whom you love, and I want you to offer him up as a sacrifice. Do I have a witness? Notice what he says in verse 2. And he said, behold, here I am. And he said, ready for service. It suggests that no matter the task, I'm ready